This Shabbos is Parshas Zachar, and Be'ezras Hashem, Purim will be celebrated on Tuesday. Yet before the joy of Purim arrives, we observe Tanis Esther on Monday. We enter Purim fasting. We begin the reading of the Megillah hungry. That is not incidental. It reminds us that the salvation of Purim began not with feasting, but with fasting. Tanis Esther also commemorates the fasts that Jewish people undertook before going to battle against their enemies. And it also is in recognition of the fast of Esther, who asked Mordechai, Lech kenos es kol ha-Yehudim hanimseim b'Shushan. Gather all the Jews found in Shushan and let them fast for 3 days. Through fasting, prayer, and tshuva, the redemption of Purim was set in motion. Some ask, the word hanimsaim appears unnecessary. The verse could have simply stated all the Jews in Shushan, or even all the Jews who are in Shushan. Why emphasize those who are found in Shushan? Perhaps the answer is that Esther did not mean all the Jews of Shushan indiscriminately, but specifically those who merely found themselves there. Many Jews had become settled in exile, naturalized citizens, comfortably integrated into Persian society. Yet there were Jews who, though living in Shushan, were only hanimsaim. They happened to be found there. Their hearts, their thoughts, their souls, and dreams remained in Yerushalayim. Though perhaps a minority, they were strong, loyal, proud, devoted, and honorable Jews. Through this limited but sincere group, their heartfelt prayers, fasting, tzedakah, tshuva, and good wishes, Esther, with Hashem's help, succeeded. So too, throughout Jewish history, it has often been a relatively small number of devoted Jews who shaped destiny. And this pattern, that illumination and redemption often begin with a devoted few, appears in this week's Parsha. In this week's Seder Tetzaveh, we read, V'yichu elecha shemen zayezach kasis lama'or lahalos ner tamid. The Jewish people shall bring pure pressed olive oil to light the menorah in the Mishkan. The commentators note that here, unlike the other contributions to the Mishkan, the Torah uses the expression ve'ata tetzaveh es b'nei Yisrael. You shall command. The Torah's kohanim on Parshas Tzav teaches that Tzav is always a language of ziras, urgency, alacrity. Reb Tzadok HaKohen, may his merit protect us, in a Sefer Pri Tzadik, asks, why specifically regarding the oil for the menorah was there a need for ziras? When it came to the other materials for the Mishkan, no urging was necessary. On the contrary, the people gave so generously that they had to be restrained. Marbim ha'am la'avi, there was a surplus. And yet, despite that overflowing generosity, the Jews held back when it came to the oil. They did not bring it. Rather, it was the Nesiim who supplied it, as we find in Parshas Vayakel. It is understandable why the Nesiim brought the precious stones for the Choshen and the ephod. Such valuables were rare and beyond the means of the masses. It is likewise understandable that they supplied the spices, costly and uncommon items. But oil was different. Oil was a common commodity, accessible to everyone. Why then was this ordinary item singled out for special urgency? And why, in the end, did the people not bring it at all, leaving it to the Nesiim? Rav Tzadok answers that the olive oil for the menorah symbolizes the Ma'or Shebetorah, the light within the Torah, specifically the light of Torah Shebaal Peh, the oral law, which is generated through chidushim, novel insights, and pilpul, sharp analytical reasoning. Thus, the oil represents not merely a material contribution, but the living, creative illumination of Torah that emerges through intellectual exertion and spiritual refinement. For the Aron, representing Torah Shebechsav, every Jew can contribute. But for Torah Shebaal Peh, the penetrating creative light, it requires elevated stature. Chazal teach, indeed, in the Nedarim 38, that the power of pilpul was originally Moshe Rabbeinu's unique possession, and that he generously gifted it to the Talmidei Chachamim, the spiritual leaders, the Nesiim of Yisrael. Therefore we sing, Yismach Moshe b'matnas chelko. Moshe rejoiced in the gift of his portion. He rejoiced not merely in possessing that inner illumination, but in bestowing it upon the Talmidei Chachamim, entrusting them with the living transmission of that light. Thus the verse states, Ve'ata Tetzaveh, and you, Moshe, shall command, indicating that this light flows specifically from Moshe. The illumination of Torah Shebaal Peh originates with him and is conveyed through those capable of sustaining and transmitting that light. However, on a practical level, my father, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, suggested another explanation. People are eager to donate toward building a Mishkan, to contribute to the Aron, the Shulchan, the Menorah, but to ensure the daily functioning, the Ner Tamid, the ongoing, uninterrupted light, this requires urgency and encouragement. When a shul or yeshiva is built, many generous Jews come forward with substantial contributions. They dedicate an Aron Kodesh, a Sefer Torah, a room, and this is commendable. But afterward, the institution must be sustained. It must operate with significant budgets and daily financial pressures. Those who commit themselves to the ongoing support, to the Lahalos Ner Tamid, are the true Nesiim. Spiritual elevation, however, is never reserved for a select few alone. Every Jew has the capacity to reach such elevation. The Midrash Tanchuma on the verse in Shir Hashirim in the 7th parak, the 6th pasuk, Roshech alayich kar Carmel, your head upon you is like Carmel, teaches Harash Shebel Yisrael Shakuk Eliyahu She'ola al Rosh HaKarmel. Even the poorest Jew is comparable to Eliyahu who ascended Har HaKarmel and proclaimed Hashem Hu Elokim. So too every Jew possesses the potential to rise and affirm the sovereignty of Hashem. On Purim, we sing Shoshanas Yaakov. We declare Arur Haman, cursed is Haman, Asher Bikesh L'Abdi, who sought to annihilate me. And we say Baruch Mordechai HaYehudi, blessed is Mordechai the Jew. Rav Mordechai Lenarovich, Zecher Tzadik Levracha of Kemetesha, notes in his Sefer Parshas Mordechai, why do we specify Haman's crime? Because he sought to destroy us. Yet when blessing Mordechai, we do not recount his accomplishments. He defied Haman, strengthened Esther, united the Jewish people, inspired tshuva, and helped bring about a renewed Kabbalah Satara, Kimu V'Kiblu, a willing acceptance that deepened Naaseh V'Nishma. Why omit all this? An answer is because the title itself says everything. Mordechai HaYehudi. To be a Yehudi is to proclaim the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is to stand apart when necessary, is to remain faithful even in exile. It is to affirm Hashem Hu Elokim. That alone is greatness. That alone is worthy of blessing. One need not rise to the historic stature of Mordechai, nor perform deeds that alter the course of nations. One need not rescue an entire people. Simply be a Yehudi, steadfast, loyal, committed. It is in itself a blessing and a source of redemption. And this is not reserved for the exceptional few. Each and every Jew can accomplish this. Each and every Jew can stand firm in faith, proclaim the unity of Hashem, and live as a true Yehudi. And perhaps this is the common thread running through Parshas Tetzaveh and the story of Purim. At times, illumination begins with the elevated few, with Moshe, with the Nesiim, with those capable of generating the light of Torah Shebaal Peh. At times, redemption is initiated by a small group, those who were merely Hanimsaim B'Shushan, whose hearts remain bound to Yerushalayim. Illumination often begins with a small flame, but once kindled, it does not remain confined to the few. It spreads. It becomes the inheritance of the many. The light flows outward until it belongs to every Jew, and therefore we sing, as is the custom in many communities, Arurim kol harishayim, Baruchim kol Yisrael. Curse are the wicked, but blessed is every Jew. Shabbat Shalom and Purim Sameach.